Okay, so today we're going to be taking a look at the new and apparently very controversial developer update from Behavior for Dead by Daylight. I'm going to preface this with we are live currently at twitch.tv/vexinglive. This sort of thing is very much up my alley. I love to talk about games that I appreciate and play a lot, and sort of break down the new and upcoming changes. I've been doing that for the last month-ish for a couple of the weeb-centric games that we've been doing. And today we're looking at this new DBD change. I've been seeing a lot of salt, but I've not looked into any of these changes. So I'm looking at this fresh, so I can give my fresh opinions as a person who has close to 1,200 hours in the game, 98% of that on stream. I love doing breakdowns and things like this, and every time there's a new PTB, we talk about the killer and the survivors and the perks and whatnot. So I'm excited, and I've been sort of like I've put DBD on sort of the back burner. Because if you're into it too much, you can kind of get lost in the sauce, if that makes sense, and get like too invested in any of the changes that could be made, and then you get people who go on Twitter and complain, like I used to, about fuck survivor mains or fuck killer mains, all that BS that's happening right now, and it's been a joy to watch. I don't want to see everybody being so toxic, but gotta love Dead by Daylight. I don't know. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so there's maybe what was it, a couple weeks ago they did the 6th anniversary broadcast, and they said that, hey, we're going to be changing like 40 new perks or something like that. We've had this image of a bunch of perks, both killer and survivor, that are going to be changed, and now we're going to get some details. So I think it's important to start out and say that there's well over 100 perks, both killer and survivor. There's tons of different characters to play as, and the game is 6 years old. Like, there's a lot of things that need to be changed and sort of kept up with as a game that is trying to be a continuous game, tries to stay relevant. And I think a big problem that Dead by Daylight has had is just the sort of meta. The meta hasn't changed for like 3 years, and that's with countless new perks being added to the game. People just like sort of default back to like the best 20-ish perks, and it makes the game pretty stale, which is like for the past year why I've kind of put Dead by Daylight on the back burner, because every game kind of felt like the same. So unless I'm playing with a bunch of friends and we're having fun, it just, I don't know, feels a little weird, feels a little stale. But hopefully we'll get some news, good or bad, in this developer update. We could talk about it. Okay, so new progression system. We got a little bit of tease on this before. Collecting all the perks has been an important goal for many players. However, since both the number of perks and characters are consistently increasing, the grind expands to an exponential rate with every new chapter, which is true. I have Jeff and Cheryl, or James, my two survivors, with every perk. And starting out with a new character, like I wanted to get Michaela with every new perk, but I realized that if I wanted to not only prestige 3, but also get every single survivor perk on that new character, it was going to cost millions and millions and millions of blood points, which is just like insane. That's a lot of game time. To address this, we're completely overhauling the way perks are earned, adding new rewards, and making completion even easier than before. A comparison. In the current system, you reach level 40 on a given character to unlock all their teachables, then find those perks in the blood robes for other characters. Correct. When a new character comes out, I get them to level 40, and then I never play them again. It's like I begrudgingly got like Dwight and I guess I play Jake every now and then, but it's this sort of like beginner starters or beginner survivors to level 40 just for their perks. In order to unlock these new perks on every character by the time next chapter releases, you would need to play an estimated average of 4.1 hours every day. Oh my god! I didn't know it was that much. With this new system, that estimated to decrease to an average of 1.01 hours. They could have just said 1 hour. 1 hour every day. That's not even factoring in blood point bonuses from events. That's kind of what it should be. I like this. I like this humbling. Like, hey, yeah, the system's not perfect. We don't want you to have to devote so much time to the game, even though we're trying to vie for your attention, compared to other games. This is the single largest reduction to grind we've ever made, cutting it by roughly 75%. That's interesting. I hope it works out that way. I do not like the grind. I want to play the game. I don't want to sit in the fucking blood web for 10 hours. The teachable rarity is no more. Now perks are tied directly to prestige. Okay, prestiging a character for the first time will instantly unlock tier 1. Versions of their perks for all other survivors and killers, making them immediately available for use without even opening the blood web. Okay, interesting. Prestiging a character for the second time and third will unlock the tier 2 and 3 versions of their unique perk. Oh, all of their perks. Okay, so like the green, yellow, and purple versions of their perks. Alternatively, higher tier versions of their perks will appear randomly in blood webs across the first... once the first tier has been unlocked. Okay, so you don't need to prestige 3 every new character to get their tier 3 version. You just need to prestige them once, and then you can find the higher level perks in other blood webs. Okay. So you prestige a trapper, you will instantly unlock tier 1 versions of agitation, brutal strength, and unnerving on all killers. Tier 2 and 3 versions of these perks will now appear randomly in the blood web. Prestiging the trapper again will make tier 2 versions of these perks immediately available, and so on. Yeah. This way you only need to earn perks once and use them to use them on every character. Yeah, I think that's an interesting change that I appreciate. And yeah, it makes it easier to pick up and play. Yeah, I really like that. No more resets. Prestiging has always been a bit of a dilemma. Do you give up everything for bragging rights, or do you keep what you have to minimize the grind? That's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, I wanted to prestige Michaela, but Michaela has all of the anniversary event items. So do I, like, spend the blood points to try to, like, quick prestige 3 her before the event's over and then get the anniversary items? Interesting. Prestiging a character. Now that prestiging is the main way to unlock perks, we want to make the choice clear. Prestiging a character will no longer remove their perks, items, add-ons, or offerings. Perk slots will also remain unlocked after prestiging. Interesting. With no reason not to prestige, prestiging a character is no longer optional. After reaching level 50, you'll receive a special blood web with only a single node. Purchasing this node will increase your prestige level and your character's level to 1. Or reset it back to 1. Okay, I mean, there's really no reason to have a choice. If it's like all upside, there's no point. Because then you'll just keep leveling up. And that gives you like the sort of like monkey brain, like, oh, now I'm back to level 1, so I need to keep going back to level 50 or whatever. Expanding prestige. With prestige now being the main way to progress, it'll no longer be as impressive to have your characters maxed out at prestige 3. It only makes sense to have a new way to recognize our most committed players, so we're increasing the prestige limit to 100. What? But what would more prestige levels be without rewards? Oh my god. Is this Call of Duty? Reaching prestige level 4, 5, and 6 will now award that character's bloody prestige cosmetics. Okay, so to get the bloody prestige, it may take a lot more blood points. Well, I guess not if unlocking or getting through the blood web is 75% quicker. I don't know. Now that prestiging for the first 3 awards perks, it only makes sense to move these higher. Yeah, that makes sense. If you already unlocked these cosmetics, don't worry. We won't be taking them away from you. Good. For the completionist, prestige level 7, 8, and 9 will each grant one of the character's unique perks as a charm. Okay. So we're not going to get those perks in the in the battle pass. We also wanted to highlight your dedication to your favorite characters no matter how many times you've prestiged them. Once the trial is over, your prestige level will now be shown in the space previously occupied by grades. Those who spend millions of blood points stockpiling add-ons for your favorite characters will now have a way to showcase your hard work to the world. That's interesting. I wonder... Well, this is... Everybody's going to start at 0, right? Or maybe everybody who has Prestige 3 will start at 3. I don't know how that'll work, but it'd be interesting to see like all of this sort of retroactively worked back to see like how many hours have I played, I don't know, Ghostface or Jeff. Shrine of Secrets. Unlike before, the Shrine of Secrets would offer teachable perks that then needed to be found in blood webs. The shrine will now allow you to purchase perks directly. Purchasing a perk through the shrine will make a tier 1 version immediately available on all killers and survivors, much like prestiging. Subsequent tiers of that perk will also begin appearing in blood webs. You may also purchase a perk again to increase its tier. Okay, so you can just buy a new perk 3 times. This works seamlessly with the prestige program system, as purchasing a perk you've never unlocked through prestige will instead increase its tier. Oh, that makes sense. So like if I get barbecue and chili, and then I prestige 1 Bubba, it'll go up to prestige, or it'll go to tier 2, and everyone else will stay at tier 1. Transitioning to the new system. With many spending hundreds, if not thousands of hours playing Dead by Daylight over the years, we want to make sure that everyone is rewarded fairly. When the system releases, we'll be automatically awarding existing players an appropriate number of prestige levels based on how many perk tiers they've unlocked. If you've left all your characters at level 50 and focus on unlocking perks, your work won't be for nothing. It's also important that you don't lose anything when the system is updated. You will keep any perks and bloody prestige cosmetics that you've already unlocked. What about items and add-ons and things? Those who reach Prestige 3 before the update will receive a special Prestige icon to recognize their achievements and commemorate perks and add-ons. Those who reach Prestige 3. Does it matter what character? Or it's like, hey, I have 1 Prestige 3, so I get this icon. And what does that icon do? We'll be hosting a live stream soon to show the update system in action and answer any questions. Okay, cool. Gotta take a drink. Talking too much. Okay. Matchmaking incentives. This should be good. Matchmaking has been our focus over the past year, and we are maintaining that throughout year 7. Though many changes are planned to improve wait times and match quality, there are variables that we can't control through code. Chief among them is the distribution of people playing each role. There are simply not enough people queuing for one role. The matchmaker's ability to create quality matches suffers. Well, sure. I mean, inherently, it's a 1v4 system. So, like, you need a lot more of one to play in a game. And depending on the time of the day and what day it is, maybe there's fewer killers or fewer survivors. Which is why we have the daily quests that seem to always skew towards killer to get more people to play killer. Being an asymmetrical game, Dead by Daylight works best when there's roughly 4 survivors to each killer. Does that mean 2 killers and 8 survivors? If this 4-1 ratio deviates too far, matchmaking time and quality will start to degrade. Too many survivors will cause survivor queue times to increase, while too few survivors will cause killer queue times to increase. Yes. To complicate things further, this ratio varies greatly depending on your region, rating, and time of day. Yes, because you have match or skill-based matchmaking. In some regions, we've observed an excess of survivors queuing, while in others, too few. Oftentimes this comes over the course of the day. Yeah. We just talked about that. So how do you improve it? Matchmaking incentives. Whenever the number of killers and survivors differs too much from the ideal ratio, we'll offer a blood point bonus to anyone who opts to play the needed role. It's just always going to be killer. The bonus ranges from 25% to 100% depending on demand levels. Those bonuses will be shown on the main menu beside each role's play button. Okay, I mean, that makes sense. There's a similar thing in World of Warcraft when you're queuing up for a dungeon. And in World of Warcraft, there's 3 different positions instead of 2. They'll give like a bonus bag that's like at the end of the dungeon, you're going to get more rewards. So queue on this one. Depending on the time of the day, it changes. So it's incentives. That makes sense. And it works. I mean, it gets me to play a role that I wouldn't normally play. These bonuses double as an indicator of which role currently has the fastest queue times. Oh no. The alert didn't go off. Praise be Hex. Oh my chat's lagging too. 54 months. My God. These bonuses double as an indicator of which role currently has the fastest queue times. Yeah, it makes sense. If you want to get in a match as soon as possible, keep an eye out. It's just always going to be killer, I feel like. Maybe it's because I play in a particular region or whatever, but it's always going to be killer. Matchmaking incentives are unique to you and dependent on your matchmaking ratings and region. You may see a bonus for killer while your friend sees one for playing survivor. Interesting. This is intended. Bonuses are dependent on which roles are needed to improve matchmaking at the time. For example, killers may be needed where you are. Yeah, that makes sense. Playing in a group can also net you a bonus if survivors are needed at the time. However, this will only apply if your group's average matchmaking rating is currently in demand. Okay, so if 3 of the survivors have a survivor bonus, the 4th person gets a survivor bonus. We believe these matchmaking incentives will improve both queue times and matchmakers' ability to create quality matches. Heads up, matchmaking incentives will be disabled if crossplay is turned off, as most players will play. Yeah, I play with crossplay on, it's fine. The system would be highly susceptible to manipulation, and switching roles would have a negligible effect on matchmaking. If you'd like to take advantage of these incentives, we strongly recommend turning on crossplay. This is also them like, I know there's a huge community of people who just don't play with crossplay. They only play PC. This is also incentives to get them to turn it on. And if they turn crossplay on, everybody has a better time matchmaking. Gameplay updates. Some of the most consistent feedback we receive centers around the perk meta. Boy, I wonder why. A handful of perks have a dominant usage rate. A handful? Yeah. Especially in higher skill matches, yeah. Naturally, the gameplay can feel stale when you see the same perks again and again. In the past, we've addressed individual perks through various updates, but the odd meta change is not enough to shake things up. In this update, we are reworking and rebalancing 39 perks, meta included. I thought it was 40. Ah, man. Why'd they pick 39? You can't tell me something like flip-flop couldn't have been the 40th. We aim to reduce the reliance on the current meta while also providing many new options to experiment with. Before we can make meaningful changes to the meta, we need to look at why these perks are so heavily used in the first place. While some perks are popular because of their strength, other perks are popular because they reduce the likelihood of an unfun situation. Therefore, we've prepared a few baseline changes to address some of these core gameplay issues. Generator speeds. We're looking at the perks most used by killers. There's a very clear trend, and any perk that helps prevent the generators from being powered, slowdown perks for short, are favored. I mean, yeah, there's like, the goal of the killers is to kill all of their survivors before the generators are powered. By the way, I didn't mention this. I play both sides. I try to be as neutral as I can. Sometimes I feel myself, fucking killer mains, fucking survivor mains. But like, That's as somebody who doesn't identify with either, right? Anyway, Corrupt, Pop, Scourge Hook. Scourge Hook is really, really good. I really appreciate Scourge Hook. And Ruin are a few notable examples. Ruin has been a staple since it came out. And each are among the most popular perks. Makes sense. Many players feel like generators are powered too quickly without these perks. So we knew we needed to look at generators before making any perk changes. Slowdown perks should be an option, but not the only option to stay competitive. First, we have increased the time that it takes to power a generator to 90 seconds, up from 80 seconds. I think that's a good change. But all of these perks need to take a step back in turn, because if not, then games are going to get too one-sided. The time that it takes to complete a generator hasn't been changed in a long time, but it's clear that they are being powered quicker than we want. By slowing them down slightly, 10 seconds isn't that bad. We hope to give killers a bigger window to interrupt survivors, particularly at the beginning of a trial. Yeah, 80 seconds in, you get 3 generators pop. Second, kicking a gen will not instantly remove 2.5% of maximum progress. The changes made makes kicking generators more meaningful, even if a survivor stops it from regressing short after. Additionally, survivors must now decide whether they should tap a generator to prevent regression, as this allows the killer to kick it again and knock off even more. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I try to save gens whenever I can. With these 2 changes, I don't know what the kick was. The kick just like it starts regressing right away? I thought it had like a flat number that it knocked off and then started regressing. I don't know. The average kill rates, how many survivors are killed in each trial on average, are a little lower than we'd like. A sentiment echoed by many community members. I can hear all the salty survivor mains saying that killers are too overpowered. I can taste the salt in the air. To ensure the killer feels like an unstoppable force to be feared, we're making slight improvements to many aspects of killer gameplay. We've reduced the time it takes to break walls and pallets. I feel like walls has been... Like, why would I ever break a wall? I don't know. I always feel bad breaking walls. Okay, so they've shortened it to 2.34 seconds, down from 2.6 seconds. Whoop-de-doo. Generators can also be kicked 10% faster. While these changes may seem small, a fraction of a second can be the difference between hitting a survivor. And that's the same with like going around a loop. You know, if you take a loop wrong, the survivor's going to get away. You got to cut corners. You got to play timings right. That's what this game's all about. Dead by Daylight, when broken down to its simplest form, is just a game about time in many, many different facets. Next, we've reduced the cooldown for successful basic attacks by 10%. Now 2.7 seconds, previously 3 seconds, and reduced the duration of the survivor's speed boost upon being hit by 10%. Moving forward, survivors will gain slightly less distance from being hit, making it more difficult for them to run long distances to a safe area. Interesting. I wonder what that means for Huntress. I mean, right now, if you're up close, it's relatively easy to hatchet somebody and then melee swing them. But if you hatchet and then they run away, it's a little bit difficult, to follow that up with a melee strike. You have to chase them. That's interesting. Finally, we've tweaked Bloodlust to increase in power quicker than before. In most cases, Bloodlust does not activate, though there are rare cases where it can be necessary. The long build-up often leaves the killer in a bad spot, even if they eventually get a hit. We're adjusting Bloodlust tiers to activate after 15, 25, and 35 seconds, rather than 15, 30, 45. I guess I should finish this. As the first tier of Bloodlust has not changed, it will not be any more prevalent than in the average chase, bearing in mind the general improvements above We expect bloodlust to become more and more uncommon outside of exceptional circumstances. Though slight, these changes affect every killer and can have ramifications on the game. We will be watching closely to ensure that nothing gets out of hand. So, bloodlust has always kind of been a weird thing. Like old bloodlust, I guess. If you get bloodlust tier 3, that means that you've been in the chase for at least 45 seconds, which is, over half of an old generator with one person on it. And then you have to hit the survivor. So then you finally land a hit after 50 seconds. That breaks bloodlust. They get a boost forward. And now you have to start all over again. And then maybe by another 50, 55 seconds, if you get bloodlust 3 again, maybe you're bad at chasing. All the generators are powered and some of the survivors are out of the gate and you've downed one person. Like, I saw some hubbub online about people being like, oh, killers who suck at the game shouldn't be getting rewarded. But like earlier in this article, they mentioned unfun situations for both survivor and killer, and bloodlust 2 and 3 are definitely an unfun situation. Like sometimes you get to bloodlust 2 and you're like, man, I need to either decide that I'm committing to this person or say screw it and give up all the time that I've lost and try to go for somebody else, try to actually get control of the game back. So as a killer player, I can appreciate these changes. And like they said, for killers who are like good, like even me, a sort of mediocre killer, I maybe get bloodlust 1 every now and then if I get like juked or, if somebody's like particularly good at like chaining together windows or whatever. It's just a sort of like waited out kind of game. And Bloodlust 1 isn't really a game changer. It's really Bloodlust 2 and 3 where you start to get that like really high speed boost that allows you to try to catch up to the killer or the survivors. So I can appreciate these from both sides, Camping and tunneling. Oh man. Oh man. I don't know if I'm ready for this. On the survivor side, there's a clear preference for perks that grants a second chance. BT, Decisive Strike, and Dead Hard. And perks of that nature help a survivor avoid certain death, leading to an extreme usage rate. Yep, I always play Borrowed Time. That's it. I don't really like current DS. I'm not very good with those skill checks. And I hate going against Dead Hard as a killer, and I don't like using it because I'm bad with Dead Hard as a survivor, but it is everywhere. And it feels really bad as a killer, too. You shouldn't need that kind of perk as a survivor. A benefit of these second chance perks is how they help prevent unfun situations, namely being camped and tunneled, which they tried to address a couple years ago when they added if a killer is by a hook, when someone is hooked, they will receive no, if not far fewer, blood points for being near it or camping. So there's no incentive to camp other than to screw over somebody's day. Repeatedly being targeted after being hooked. In order to incentivize a meaningful change in the meta, it was clear that we needed to address these controversial tactics. Second chance perks should be nice to have, not essential to surviving enjoyable gameplay. I think it's good they're trying to hit the nail on the head. Like these perks exist, and these perks are being used because people are playing a certain way. In a toxic manner, not in like a I'm just doing my job, man kind of way. Moving forward, survivors will receive a 5-second endurance effect after being unhooked. So endurance is the like speed boost, I guess, you get from like vaulting or whatever. This gives the unhooked survivor an opportunity to reach nearby window or pallet, or for another survivor to position themselves for a protective hit. Interesting. Interesting. That coupled with BT might be a bit. I think Borrowed Time's getting a rework anyway. We'll take a look. Additionally, the Unhooked Survivor will receive a 7% haste effect. Oh, that's what. Yeah. Oh, wait, is Endurance? Endurance might be the BT effect. Plus 7% haste, which is movement speed. For 5 seconds. This will make them harder to catch and encounter killers to shift focus, or encourage killers to shift focus to the unhooking survivor. That makes sense. Both effects will be canceled prematurely if the unhooked survivor performs what we now call a conspicuous action. These are interactions other than being chased that would improve your chances of survival. They did this with a recent perk, right? If you did one of these things, your benefit was gotten rid of from the perk because it's assumed that you're in a safe situation if you are like, if you get unhooked and you walk over to a generator, you don't need any of the benefits of being unhooked because you're safe. You're away from the hook. With these base changes, we hope survivors can switch up their perk loadouts without fear that camping and tunneling will cut their next match short. I feel like before going into the perks and seeing what they are, like the changes to Dead Hard and things like that, I feel like this and the killer change are both like they're trying to address the gameplay situation, but they're not. Like if I get this and I still have, old Dead Hard, I'm still going to use old Dead Hard. Right? It's just an added bonus. Like, why would I not? As a killer with generators taking 90 seconds now, why would I not use Ruin? Why would I not use Corrupt? If I have max Corrupt for 180 seconds or whatever it is, then it takes an additional 90 seconds for everybody to finish a gen. Why would I not do that? Okay. Meta perk changes. Oh my god. For this update, perk changes fall into one of two categories: meta perks that are used too often and non-meta perks that serve a similar purpose but aren't used as much. We understand that many of you have grown attached to your favorite perks and loadouts. Unfortunately, shaking up the meta inevitably leads to a few changes. Rest assured that our goal is to provide alternatives that align with your preferred playstyle while widening the scope to include more viable perk options. It's also important to note that not every meta perk is equal, and each was considered on a case-by-case basis. So what are Dead by Daylight's meta perks? By referencing both community feedback and internal data, we can see some perks stand above the rest. For killers, Barbecue, Ruin, Pop, Corrupt, Tinkerer, Noed, Scourge Hook. Oh. For survivors, Dead Hard, BT, DS, Iron Will. Really? Iron Will? I guess I do see a lot of people using it. Self-Care, Spine Chill. Can I think of any others? Maybe Adrenaline? I don't know. I feel like I don't see Adrenaline nearly as much anymore. We'd like to share those graphs, these graphs showcasing the 10 most frequently used perks for both sides. These charts alone do not explain why the meta exists. For that, we turn to community-based feedback. Sure. I think this is the first time. I made a video a long time ago about community feedback and changes to Dead by Daylight and how the devs are incredibly inconsistent, or were incredibly inconsistent with their philosophies. And they were very sort of airy and I don't know the word. They wouldn't provide any proof. They would say, "Oh, the stats look like this, so we're gonna do this," and it was like a big controversial thing or whatever. And the devs don't owe us anything. Like they don't owe us the proof for this kind of thing. But the video was me advocating for more transparency. Like I likened it to Ark. And Ark at the time was doing weekly, just for fun stats, like how many people were playing, how many people were playing PvP, how many people got killed by this dino, like just like a bunch of weird stats, but it was like 100% transparent. And that sort of thing goes a long way for somebody like me who, actively promotes games on my various channels and wants to spend time in these games with my friends and my community. So even just seeing these graphs is like super awesome. Like I am incredibly happy, and we don't need to really dive into these, but I do want to look at like the names of the perks and whatnot. So yeah, this is fantastic. This is awesome. Percentage of loadouts. Okay, interesting. In everybody's loadout. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. And then as the line gets thicker, what is this at the bottom? Am I being dumb? Is this the number of hours that people have played? I don't understand. Whatever. Dead Hard, BT, Self Care, Spine Chill, Iron Will, DS, Windows of Opportunity. I guess. There's a lot. There's a big uptick in Cape players. Circle of Healing, yep. Kindred, Adrenaline, Unbreakable, Sprint Burst. Unbreakable, I think's another one that I see pretty often because it's an anti slug sort of anti asshole killer move. We've got that, and then we've got the killer one. Barbecue, Ruin. I don't understand what this bottom bar is. Am I being dumb? Whatever. Barbecue, Ruin, Noed. Interesting. Pop Goes the Weasel, Corrupt, Pain, Locked. What? What is that perk? Jolt, Sloppy Butcher. Is that a perk that got changed? The name changed? I don't know. Tinkerers, Nurses, Ironcrad. Nurses is one that I didn't think of, but that is definitely an overused killer perk. Okay. So maybe it's just going to go over the meta perks. I don't know. We'll see. Killer meta perks. Current effect. Upon hooking a survivor, you see the aura. You gain a stack of blood points. Blood point bonus for each survivor hooked. I saw something online. Apparently, a lot of people use barbecue for the blood point bonus and not the aura reading ability. That completely blew my mind. I had almost forgotten that it gave blood points. Like, I don't care about blood points. I want to see where the survivors are, especially if I'm playing like Huntress or like, I don't know, Hillbilly or whatever. And people are like, oh, well, you need to be better about tracking survivors and chasing and whatnot. And it's like, no, I use barbecue for the aura. Like, what? It's like why I run distortion on Survivor. This perk is incredibly popular, not because it's particularly powerful, but because of the huge amount of blood points it provides. What? Choosing to go into a match without it massively slows your progression? We do not want blood points to be the driving factor behind perk choices, so we will be removing the blood point bonus. While we understand this change may seem shocking, please keep in mind that this update reduces the grind by about 75% with matchmaking incentives, providing an additional revenue for blood points. We believe this is a necessary step in making other aura reading perks more appealing, as blood points gain will no longer be the deciding factor. People online were like, okay, well, why don't you use this perk or this perk, this aura reading perk? I'm still going to use... What? I'm still going to use barbecue. I hook people with like enough rate that I can be like, okay, well, I see these survivors or I don't see these survivors. Like I can kind of guess where everybody is, or maybe I'm using that plus whispers or or something else to like. I have never thought about the blood point issue with barbecue. That's insane. Interesting. I'd be curious to see somebody's perspective who only uses barbecue because of the blood points. I did see some people who are like, yeah, I can't really progress without it. I want to hear somebody's testimony for this, because this is like okay, whatever. They're just not changing barbecue to me. Hex Ruin. Generators regress automatically at an increased rate when a survivor is not working on them, as long as this hex is standing. Yep. A massive part of Hex Ruin is this appeal, not having to stop and kick generators. Yep. You don't have to kick a generator because if they're not on it, you just like shoo them off, as well as the ability to passively regress from a distance. These aspects make Ruin a unique slowdown perk, so we are not looking to change them. To bring Hex Ruin in line with other perks, we are reducing their regression speed to 50, 70, and 100% from 100, 150, and 200%. This will reduce its power without destroying its primary appeal. After a survivor is killed... What? I love how they show the new effect of the perk, comment on it, and then show another like bombshell effect. If you kill a survivor, this perk deactivates. What? I could get over the like 50, 70. I don't really use Ruin that much anyway. Maybe on like, I don't know, Wraith. Some killer I like never play. But damn. Also deactivating upon a killer or a survivor being killed. Like I guess at that point, you know, they're at maybe 4 gens or 3 gens. So like that's like throwing the survivors a bone. Like I get it, but fuck. Pop goes the weasel. After hooking a survivor the next gen you kick will, within the time limit, loses 25% of its progress. Pop gives killers a controlled way to remove a significant progress from a generator of their choosing. Yes, within like 30 seconds. Given that kicking a gen now removes 2.5% of its progress by default, we decided to tone down some of the numbers. The perk will now remove 20% of the generator's current, not total progress. Okay. This change will make Pop very effective against generators that are nearly done, but weaker against those. Yeah, I mean, you'd still want to kick those gens, right? With the added 2.5 from max. Interesting. Yeah, I think that's a fine change. They didn't change any of the timings, which I think is fine. Is correct. Corrupt. At the start of the match, the 3 furthest generators are blocked for a while. A while. This perk makes the beginning of the match much more manageable, forcing the survivors to extend deeper into the map before repairing a gen. We aren't looking to change this aspect. Moving forward, the perk will deactivate once the survivor enters the dying state. We believe this change will keep Corrupt effective in helping the killer build early game pressure while providing a limit to its power. I guess. What about Legion? A killer that wants to hit every survivor before downing one of them. I mean, maybe that happens within the first minute, and then by that time, it's like close to being over anyway. It's interesting. I've never really used Corrupt that often, so I don't know its... I don't know if I could feel its oppressiveness. Anytime I'm in a survivor game against somebody using Corrupt, I'm just like, okay, I'll just go find the other gen, or like avoid the killer long enough to get on a gen. Like, I mean, it does slow the game down by a lot. Tinkerer. Current effect. When a generator reached 70% progress, receive a loud noise notification and become undetectable for a short duration. Tinkerer is a popular choice for the information it provides. Being able to prevent a generator from being powered is a game changer, particularly on killers with high mobility like Billy. It can, however, become a little oppressive when paired with certain regression perks. Therefore, Tinkerer can now only activate once per generator, but with the base charges increased to 90. What? Killers will have extra time to approach. What? Base charges? Oh, like how long it takes to do a generator. I see. Yeah, I feel like Tinker activating multiple times per generator is not good design anyway. I think it should have always been once per gen. I think that's good. Noed. Oh my god. I don't know if I'm ready to read this. Everybody's like, oh, Noed's a crutch perk. And I'm like, yeah, it's mine. It's my way of getting control back of the game once everybody's done all the gens. Especially as Ghostface. Oh, I just suck at being a killer. This perk makes for a very effective comeback tool, though it falls out of favor in high-skill games. We like the way Noed encourages survivors to preemptively cleanse totems, so we are not looking to weaken its direct strength. Instead, survivors will now see the Hex Totem's aura within 4 meters upon activation. This range increases to 24 meters over the course of 30 seconds. Oh, like they can see it through like a wall. We believe this change will keep Noed a strong choice for endgame builds, while encouraging survivors to find the totem and attempt the last second save. Interesting. Yeah, I think that's fine. But what about if you... does that stack with Hex Undying? I guess Hex Undying would be there from the beginning of the game, and you would still want to cleanse totems. I'm not sure. That's interesting. We'll have to see how that one plays out. I mean, there's definitely like, you know, I could say I know probably 70% of all of the different totem locations. So like if somebody gets hit and I was like, oh crap, there's no Ed, I'm just gonna like go immediately try to find it. So I guess this is just gonna make it a little bit easier. I think it's an okay change. I don't know if it's necessarily the kind of change people are looking for. Pain Resonance. Upon hooking a survivor on a Scourge hook, the generator with the most progress explodes, notifying the killer instantly and loses a large chunk of progress. The most recent addition to the meta, Pain Resonance, allows the killer to remove a sizable chunk from the most progressed gen simply by hooking a survivor. They have to hook on a specific perk, or on a specific hook. And there's only 4 of them, right? A loud noise notification also allows the killer to disrupt the survivors before they continue repairing. A jack of all trades of sort, granting both a powerful regression effect and crucial information. With that in mind, we're removing the loud noise notification. Instead of exploding, the generator effective will now spark upon losing progress, and survivors will no longer scream. We believe this will ensure Pain Resonance remains a strong regression perk while limiting its informational aspect. I mean, it's good. Not being notified or not screaming is like a pretty good change from the survivor's perspective. I think that neuters the perk pretty hard. I don't think I've played enough matches against it to really have an opinion on that, though. Okay. Need another drink for this. Survivor meta perks. Dead Hard. When activated, becomes immune to damage for a short and dash a short distance. Dead Hard is by... I can't read. Dead Hard is by far the most used survivor perk, and it's easy to see why. In the right hands, it acts like a third health state. allowing a survivor to escape a situation where they would go down otherwise. There's quite literally, or there was a very popular cheat that people were using that was like a perfect timing dead hard. It was insane. There are two main ways dead hard is used: to dodge a hit and for distance, to get nearby to a pallet or a window or whatever. Sure. In the latter case, there's not much a killer can do. Therefore, dead hard will now provide the endurance effect for 1 second when activated. If you time it right, you'll prevent the hit and gain a movement speed boost. This will remove dead harding for distance and make it solely used to dodge hits. Wait, what? Dead hard will now provide the endurance effect for 1 second when activated. Oh, so it's not a lunge. That makes sense. It's just like you activate it, it gives you the BT hit forgiveness, maybe. Or, yeah, because. Wait. I'm sorry. I need to. Hang on. Maybe I'm mixing up the terms. Endurance. Survivors affected by endurance are temporarily hardened and can resist a hit. They will be outlined in a white aura. So yeah, it's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. But they still get the speed boost from being hit. Okay, cool. I thought I was going crazy. I mean, I feel like in recent months, dead hard has become less of a dead hard for distance to make it to a pallet, even though that still does happen, and more of a dead hard to bait a hit. So you essentially have to hit that survivor 3 times to down them. That has been my main gripe about dead hard as a killer. Like, I now have to chase this person again to get another hit on them. And they didn't even like have to use a med kit or anything like that. So for me, this change is not ideal. I don't know. DS. I mean, I don't use dead hard as a survivor, so I don't know how it's going to work for survivors. After being unhooked, DS activates for a long duration. When picked up, hit a special skill check and instantly wiggle free. Deactivates when used or performing various actions. Yep. Okay, so yeah, that's when you like start a gen. You lose it. One of DS's main appeals is its effective efficiency at efficacy at preventing tunneling. In light of the upcoming base game changes, we expect DS to drop in usage slightly. For the most part, we find the perk to be healthy for the game and easily avoidable for killers who choose not to tunnel and unhook survivors. Or an unhooked survivor. That said, at the end of the match, there's often nothing the killer can do to prevent a survivor with DS from escaping. I mean, that's true. Moving forward, DS will now deactivate once the exit gate is powered. In addition, the stun duration has been reduced from 5 to 3 seconds. We'll also be simplifying the description in the perk. Oh yeah. They're moving to this conspicuous action key term. Interesting. Shorter stun time, I think, would have been enough. Deactivating when the exit gates are powered, I think, is a little weird. Because DS at last minute can prevent a lot of feel bads, but I think that might be the survivor in me talking. BT, survivors can unhook. Survivors you unhook gain the endurance effect for a short duration. Always. They changed it just recently, allowing them to ignore a hit that would otherwise put them in the dying state. Much like DS, this perk gets much of its popularity by granting counterplay against a camping killer. Considering a lighter version of borrowed time's effect has been added to a survivor's base kit. We need to update the perk accordingly. Borrowed time will now... oh, yeah, because they're getting endurance when they get unhooked. Yeah, yeah. Will now extend the duration of endurance effect of unhooked survivors by a bunch of seconds and increase the movement speed bonus by 10 seconds. These effects will be canceled if the unhooked survivor performs a conspicuous action. Yeah, yeah. I think that's fine. I think that's a general extension of what the base kit borrowed time is going to be. I think with the changes to survivors, I might stop using BT. Iron Will makes your grunts of pain silent. This perk allows skilled players to mind game more effectively in many areas by silencing grunts of pain. To address this high usage rate, we are lowering the grunts of pain reduced to 25%, 75%, whatever. It's no longer active while exhausted. Interesting. Though it will not cause exhaustion itself. I think part of the uptick of Iron Will is the just complete darkness of the game. Like, when the Crows map came out, the artist, when her map came out, the inside of the main building was like pitch black. They had to address it, and now it's fine. And it was like kind of weird that it was like this daylight map, and like inside it was like super dark. And I've said it a couple times on the new map. I don't know what the new map's called, the Dredges map. I just won't go inside the building. Like the new building is just, it's way too dark. As a killer or survivor, it's like impossible. I did some like weird jukes in there as a survivor because like, and when the killer should have seen me, like I was out in the open, just like in the dark. Like, it is incredibly dark in indoor maps and in buildings, like in the new Haddonfield buildings, and on the new map. It's the darkness and RPD. Like, there are people who will actively stop playing the game or intentionally DC when RPD, somebody brings an RPD offering, or you just randomly get put into it, because the map is just too damn dark. So use that with Iron Will, and you just like, you can hide anywhere. Self-care unlocks the ability to heal yourself without a medkit at 50% speed. Self-care has a diverse reputation among the community. We are surprised to find that its usage peaks in the highest skill matches. Having a consistent and reliable way to heal at will is a more powerful tool. I can't read. A powerful tool in the right hands. On top of that, self-care increases the efficiency of medkits, allowing survivors to squeeze additional heals out of them. Well, yeah. Self-care's heal speed will be lowered. Oh my god. Even the highest won't be 50%. And the item efficiency boost has been removed. That seems like a big, big change. Now it's going to take you like 2 minutes to heal. That coupled with generator times seems a bit weird. Like, I don't mind the boost lower, but I think you still need to be able to use items and medkits more efficiently. That's interesting. Spine Chill activates when the killer is nearby and looking in your direction, increasing action speeds and the chance for skill checks. This perk excels at accelerating or alerting survivors when the killer is approaching. And in high skill lobbies, the vault speed increase becomes the primary. The vault speed increase? Am I dumb, or do I just not know how to read Spine Chill? I don't know. I've never noticed this. Maybe I'm not in a high skill lobby, but the vault speed increase hasn't. Like I always get hit. I have spine chill and I always get hit going through a fucking window. There are a few aspects of this perk we'd like to clean up. Spine chill now only activates if the killer has a clear line of sight on the killer. Oh. This will remove the awkward counterplay if the killer must look away to ensure a stealthy approach. Next, we'll be adding a short 0.5 second lingering effect to the spine chill. This will prevent the perk icon from flickering when the killer looks around to make the action speed boost more consistent. Okay, I appreciate that. Removing the vault speed bonus entirely. Yeah, I didn't even know this was a thing. A clear line of sight. So like, if your buddy's like, oh hey, we're gonna play on the game, you just take this off. That's insane. That's insane. Non-meta perk changes. I think that one I appreciate the least. Maybe it's a crutch perk for me. Killer perk buffs, overcharge, along with its current effects. Overcharge will cause a kick generator's progress speed to grow, regression speed to grow from 100% to 400% over the course of 30 seconds. So after 30 seconds, the gen's just dead. Eruption. Eruption now released with fairly safe numbers, but upon reflection, we're comfortable with increasing them. We have upped the generator's regression penalty to 10%, and the duration increased as well. Knockout. Those of you who like to leave survivors on the ground can have a little more peace of mind. Oh my god. That is not a sentence that I ever want to see from behavior. In addition to its current effect, Knockout will cause dying survivors to crawl 50% slower for 15 seconds and reduce their recovery speed by 25%. This, coupled with the baked-in borrowed time to all survivors, signals to me as a killer. And with the increased generator time, it signals to me that I need to never hook anybody. It's as simple as that. If I play a killer, I'm going to be slugging every fucking game. And as a survivor, that absolutely sucks. So now Unbreakable is going to become a thing. Unless they change it. That's a very, very interesting decision and one that I don't think is right. Especially in a game with no communication. Like, you can't communicate to your fellow survivors where you are, where you died. You crawl slower and you recover slower. Like, Jesus. Maybe I'm blowing it out of proportion. I don't know. Calorophobia. To make healing in the killer's terror radius even more unappealing, calorophobia will now increase the speed of skill checks by 50%. Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's like a weird nurse's calling thing. Like, you want nurses because you think survivors are healing in your terror radius. Maybe you just don't play them together. Whatever. Dark Devotion. This perk is great for confusion and sneaking up on survivors, but the basic attack requirement makes it unappealing for certain killers. Dark Devotion will now activate when the obsession loses a health state. Nice. Jolt. Jolt allows the killer to regress generators simply by downing a survivor. To make it more consistent in punish careless survivors, we have removed the cooldown. Oh my god. So, like, if the killer downs 2 survivors near a gen, that gen's just dead. Lethal Pursuer. So, you like aura reading, huh? On top of the existing effect, Lethal Pursuer now extend the duration of all aura reading effects by 2 seconds. Oh my god. I mean, I never played Lethal Pursuer because after the beginning of the match, it's just a dead perk. And like, I've done marathons on stream where, like, we play killers without perks. Like, you can play a killer without a perk and do fine. But having 3 perks instead of 4 kind of felt bad, because after the beginning of the game, your perk doesn't do anything. So if you play with other aura reading things, this seems like a decent choice. Holy crap. Scourge Hook Gift of Pain. This perk also shipped with safe numbers, so we're increasing the action speed penalty. I couldn't even tell you what that perk does. Thanatophobia, another quick one. We're increasing the action speed penalty. Oh my god. So the new killer meta is going to be Knockout, Thanatophobia, Lethal Pursuer, and like, I don't know, maybe Jolt or something dumb. Thanatophobia. Oh my god, that is insane. 22. If all 4 survivors are injured, 22% progression decrease on healing, generator repair, and the gens already take an extra 90% or extra 10 seconds to do. That is nuts. Monstrous Shrine. Long have we waited. Monstrous Shrine has received a rework. Good. No one... I don't know of anybody who uses Spurk. Spurk will now convert all basement hooks to Scourge Hooks. Additionally, Scourge Hooks will now grant faster entity progression? But only if the killer's not within 24 meters. Okay, so the killer has to be very far. So you can't camp in the basement as Bubba with a person on the basement hook, which is a Scourge Hook. I mean, I like the I feel like it should just be a base. All basement hooks should be Scourge Hooks. I think that just like fits thematically. I don't know. But I mean, this is a good change. I don't know if anybody's going to use it. Survivor perk buffs. Calm Spirit. In additional Calm Spirit's current effects, you can now open chests, cleanse, and bless totems silently, albeit slower. Yes, let's bless totems over the course of 3 minutes silently. Saboteur. After months of studying, saboteurs can now identify Scourge Hooks. Their auras are shown in yellow when a survivor is being carried. You use this information to your advantage to prevent Scourge Hooks from being activated. This is not a notable change. This seems like yeah, it should have happened. Botany increases healing speed up to 50% from 33%. That's pretty good. Better for healing, but coupled with self-care, kind of bad. Off the record, upon being unhooked, gain endurance for 80 seconds. Endurance effect is lost upon performing a conspicuous action. While this is a lengthy endurance effect, any game progression action will cancel it prematurely, making it purely for evading the killer after being unhooked. No. This means that the toxic Nia in the mask with the pink hair is going to be taking this perk. That way, if they get hooked, or they're going to use, Adam's perk. I can't remember the name of the perk right now. He's going to, the Nia's going to jump off the hook that they just got hooked. They're going to have a free hit on them for 80 seconds. They're going to clicky their flashlight to try to get your attention, and they're not going to do anything. At the most, they're going to drop a pallet, which will count as a conspicuous action and get rid of the endurance. But still, maybe by then you've already hit them, and they're going to get speed boost, and they're going to chase you. Like, this is going to be a meta perk for people who don't actively play the game, or the people who choose to be the person who is chased the entire game, I should say. I mean, this sounds great. Like, as someone who will sometimes play that role, this sounds great. But this sounds like a ridiculous buff, like an incredible buff. Like, off the record, I used it for a bit. I think it came out right as Decisive Strike was changed, so I tried it for a bit, and I didn't mind it. I think it's already like a mid tier, like a B tier perk. I think this changes it to A tier. Lucky Break. This perk is great for escaping a chase. But the effect quickly runs out. We're giving survivors a way to recharge Each second spent healing other survivors increases Lucky Break's duration by 1 second. Sure. Seems good. Pharmacy used to guarantee an emergency med kit the first time you search a chest, which you'd either hope nobody takes before you need it or hide it in a far-off corner like a med kit goblin. Now pharmacy will activate whenever you're injured, guaranteeing an emergency med kit when you search a chest. This effect can happen multiple times in one trial. Good luck stealing my med kit now, Meg. Fucking loot goblin. Soul Survivor. In addition to hiding your aura, Soul Survivor will now increase your generator repair speed by 75% and your exit gate and hatch action speed by 50%. These effects are only active if you're the last survivor standing. Interesting. I mean, this is a perk that I might use, playing solo. As the name suggests. That seems really good. Distortion. I don't know if I'm ready to read this, man. For anybody who's watched the stream, I have, on any survivor that I use that I've actually devoted blood points to, distortion, like I only have 3 perk slots because the 4th one is always distortion. Since the moment it was released. I will make a fucking 20-minute rant video on why it is one of the best perks in the game. For those who like to stay hidden, we've added a way to regain tokens. Gain 1 token for every 30 seconds spent within the killer's terror radius. Interesting. So kind of like the Pebble. Interesting. I think when they changed it, so it used to be only 3 tokens. So every time your aura gets red, it deletes a token or takes away a token. And after those, it's a dead perk. They upped it to 4 tokens. I said with the amount of aura reading, it should have been up to 5. And I think that would have balanced it. Gaining extra tokens. I'm wondering if it's still like, if you have 4 tokens, can you still gain more? Or does it have a maximum of 4? That's interesting. Because like, what if you're in the killer's terror radius a lot in the beginning of the game and you like need it in the end? Like, that seems like a really edge case, but there's a lot of gameplay to distortion, especially now with more incentive to use aura reading perks. I guess other than barbecue. Lightweight. In addition to Lightweight's existing effects, your scratch marks will be more sporadic, making you harder to track. Your scratch marks will also fade sooner. Interesting. 3 seconds sooner. Interesting. I think I want more perks that deal with scratch marks. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. Deja Vu. To help survivors power the 3 closest generators, Deja Vu will now grant 5% repair speed. Sure. No One Left Behind. Beyond its current effects, No One Left Behind also grants 7% movement speed bonus to any survivors you unhook, so 14% total. Additionally, the perk now activates when the gates are powered rather than opened. Sure. I don't think anybody's going to use it, but okay. Dark Sense. We've changed the way Dark Sense works. When a generator is powered, Dark Sense activates the next time a killer comes within 24 meters of you. Their aura is revealed for 10 seconds. Dark Sense deactivates. Okay. I think that's fine. But if they're within 24 meters, you probably hear their terror radius soon. Like, that seems okay. Tenacity. In addition to its current effects, Tenacity now reduces your grunts of pain by 75%. Okay. Combined with increased crawling speed, this perk will now be much more effective in crawling away from the killer. They are correctly assuming that we're going to need it, because people are going to be slugging like crazy. Hope is great for those who like to make late game saves, but the limited duration can cause it to expire at an inconvenient time. Since this perk is only useful at the end of the match, we've removed its duration entirely. Yeah, that makes sense. They've changed a new perk already. I don't even know what this perk does. In its current state, cleansing a totem grants you a repair speed bonus. Sure. Now its bonus doubles if you cleanse a hex totem. Sure. I feel like that should have been baked in, but cool, whatever. We're gonna live forever. Much like barbecue, this perk features a massive blood point bonus. We do not want blood points to dictate which perks are used, so we remove the bonus blood points from We're Gonna Live Forever. What I want is a change to offerings. I always use blood point offerings. I want an incentive to not do that, which I guess this new game state will. So I can, like, you know, maybe have mist actually matter, or luck actually matter. You know, this change will release at the same time as the progression overhaul, which is expected to cut the grind by about 75%. Yeah, we know. Additionally, actions that previously granted a token will now activate the perk's secondary effect. While active, healing a survivor from a dying state grants them endurance. Sure. Sure, that makes sense. We realize the following changes. Following these changes, a new meta will surely rise. We'll be closely monitoring the performance of each updated perk to ensure that none falls too far out of line. Moving forward, we hope to make meta-shaking updates like this one a more frequent part of our plan in order to keep gameplay feeling fresh. With that, we've reached the end of this edition of the developer update. Kudos to those who made it this far. It was a long one. As always, these changes will be made available for testing next week in the PTB. Given the number of changes we made, we'll be keeping an extra close eye out for feedback. We also will be holding a live stream in the near future to review the update. Yeah, I definitely want to take a look at that live stream and see things actually play out. And next week, obviously, we'll try the PTB and see how they work. Actually, so I guess kind of final thoughts. This last paragraph kind of scares me. So, I have always been a proponent for more frequent tweaks and changes from behavior. It seems like we've gotten a couple of perk changes every couple of months, and then a new killer comes out, a new survivor comes out, and then, you know, that adds a couple more to the pool but doesn't really change anything. And then maybe 6 months later we get 2 perks changed. Like, the more frequent changes should be buffs and tweaks to numbers, to like this amount of perks. Maybe not this amount, but maybe, like, 10 survivor, 10 killer, whatever. Just pick a number. That's not quite this much. Like every month. Like, hey, we've got the data from last month. Let's take a look at it. Middle of the month, new update. Maybe not that frequently, but if you look at a game like League of Legends, a game that has over 100 characters that you can play as with a bunch of abilities and, a bunch of weird interactions happening, they do updates to the game very frequently. They very frequently tweak numbers. They don't do sort of drastic overhauls every, 6 years. I feel like this sort of shakeup was necessary, but I don't think it is necessary to do this kind of shakeup all of the time. I think if you do more community forward data and feedback, like the graphs that we saw, being more transparent and doing more frequent updates of smaller tweaks, I think the game could be in a much better state because, you want everybody to feel heard. You don't want people to feel bad, and you want people to play your game. And things like this can often scare people away. They can be like, oh, they're changing my favorite perk, they're changing my favorite killer, they're changing the way my favorite game works, I'm not going to play anymore. But if you say, oh, hey, we've noticed that Dead Hard has been a hot topic recently, so we've spent some time changing it, and we're just going to roll out the changes right now and see what happens. And then if you have a regular, like every month or every 3 weeks or whatever, look at these perks and you adjust accordingly, that's a lot less time in a feel bad situation. Like if you overtune something, if you you know increase the regression rate of ruin by a little bit too much, then that's only like 3 weeks or 4 weeks that survivors have to deal with it. Or if if you go the other way, if you nerf something a little bit too hard, then people will just shift to something else for the time being. And if you have like a steady, reliable and consistent, I guess, all the same words, showcase that, hey, we are looking at these perks, we are doing frequent changes, we're doing these little changes now and then, we're gonna continue to look at things as we tweak them. People will be a little bit more forgiving of these changes. They'll be like, oh, they just overtuned it, oops, we'll just wait a couple weeks, it'll be fine. Because they know that behavior will look at it. That's you want that trust. There have been sort of massive changes in League of Legends recently, and they have a track record of keeping things somewhat balanced, as much as they can in that complicated of a game. That a majority of the community was sort of like, yeah, these changes are kind of weird, but over time they'll get worked out because Riot does an okay job at that. I feel like something like this was definitely needed. I think I'm excited to see how the game will change. I hope that it is going to be a change for the positive. I think that it's going to be a change for the positive. It is certainly, at one point was the main game that I streamed, 5 days a week. I hope that it would draw me back in like it used to, and I know a lot of people feel the same. But my main gripe has always been there's not enough transparency and there's not enough updates. I don't want an update like this every 6 months. I'd rather smaller bite-sized updates every couple weeks. But overall, I think it's good. I like the changes to Survivor. I like the changes to the blood web and prestige system. Matchmaking seems okay. Seems like a general step forward, a good step forward. They're clearly picking a philosophy on how they want killers to play it and how they want survivors to play. I hope that my prediction of it being a killer slug meta where everybody is just left dying on the ground and not actually hooked is just me overreacting, because I don't want that to be the case. I think the changes to most of these perks are pretty good. And, off the record and distortion, those are going to be two mainstay perks for me. Maybe even like tenacity and unbreakable, just in case. Or flip-flop. Yeah, we were talking about flip-flop earlier. But yeah, that seems great. I'm going to take a look at the live stream whenever that happens. We'll break it down on stream and watch it on stream. And obviously play the PTB when that's available. So yeah, I appreciate you. If you've made it this far in the video, make sure to like and subscribe and do all that jazz. We are, again, streaming live, twitch.tv/vexing live. We I'll have all the links to all that jazz down in the comments. I think I'm just going to throw this up and leave timestamps so people can look at all of the various portions of this. So yeah, I appreciate it. This has been super fun. I really enjoy this sort of breakdown stuff and actually talking things out, because people online tend to be a little bit salty, me included. I've tried to take a step back and look at this from a constructive way. And on the PTB, we'll see.